I know the last time we saw you that this thing had not been put to bed yet. Now that it comes down that Mayweather and McGregor are going to fight here, you got to be really happy about it. And how close was it not to happening?
You know, this is one of those rare occasions when actually everything went right. It is one of the smoothest deals that I've been involved in. It really only took about 2 weeks to negotiate. I'm not sure exactly why. Because, you know, we all came off of that sort of nightmare negotiation on Mayweather-Pacquiao, and maybe everyone was expecting that. But this got done quickly and painlessly, I think, because the guys just want to fight. They want to get at each other.
Right. Let me ask you a couple of fight questions. Number one, 3-ounce gloves or 16-ounce gloves?
It will be in the middle. The fight's at 154 pounds, which is Conor's natural weight, pretty much, and under standard boxing rules. It's a 10-ounce glove.
All right, and 10 rounds or 12?
It'll be 12. Conor was more than willing to go 12.
All right, and T-Mobile or MGM Grand? Is that done at T-Mobile?
It'll be T-Mobile.
Got it. So August 26th, it will be T-Mobile, 10-ounce gloves, 12 rounds. We got all the facts out of the way.
Yep. And I'm sure you know what the odds are. How many bets do you have already in, Craig?
No, I don't think you can bet the fight. I know. Listen, Mayweather, rightfully so, is a prohibitive favorite. I think it's like minus 1,100 right now. I think what I saw the early line on it, and rightfully, for good reason. He's pound for pound, the best boxer of his generation. I don't care if he's 40 or not. My view on it is there's no negative to it. It's a show, and they're going to put on a show. And there's no long-term negative connotations to either sport or to either guy. I don't think if somehow, some way, McGregor won the fight, I don't think it changes the legacy of Mayweather one little bit. I really don't.
Interesting. I've got to think that I've been asked Floyd, but I think he would feel the pressure. Maybe he doesn't now, but on fight night, because look, this guy's an accomplished mixed martial artist. But at the end of the day, a loss is a loss, and a loss to a guy crossing over to his sport. I think that's a pretty big asterisk, and he's going to have to look at 49-1.
Yeah.
The rest of his life.
Yeah, he's not going to want that.
He obviously doesn't want it.
He doesn't want it. But here's the thing, Steven. You've been around this stuff a long, long time. What's the God's honest chances for Conor McGregor to win this thing?
Well, look, I'll give you what Conor says. He says, look, I'm 27 years old. I'm young. I'm strong. I'm the bigger guy. I'm in the prime of my career. I'm left-handed. I'm orthodox. And there's a certain quality to Conor. He absolutely has no doubt whatsoever in his mind. I mean, he's absolutely convinced, in the same way that Floyd is, that he's the best on the planet. As Craig mentioned, Floyd is 40. He's two years away from the sport. Is he a little diminished? We'll find out. But the one thing that we know about combat sports, and really about sports in general, you really never know for sure. And, you can go all the way back to Tyson versus Douglas, or more recently, when they made De La Hoya Pacquiao, everyone was saying, oh, this is a silly fight. Pacquiao's way too small, and he comes out and demolishes Oscar. So, once you get in the ring, strange things happen. So I do not think this is a gimme. I mean, Floyd is favored, rightfully so, but there's a lot of assets that Conor brings to the table.
All right, we're talking to Stephen Espinoza. He's the head of Showtime Sports, who's going to televise this on pay-per-view. What happens if Floyd Mayweather loses this fight, and what happens to boxing in general if he loses this fight?
Well, I think my take on it is, look, this is not MMA versus boxing. It's not a referendum on the value of either sport. If Conor wins, all it means is that Conor beats Floyd, and you've got hopefully a really interesting rematch. It may be the most interesting fight of Floyd's career, because
it has to be a good fight for that.
Let's face it, everyone's been waiting for him to lose it.
I don't know. I view it as, I'm thrilled that it's happening. I'm obviously a fan of both sports. Know both very well. Looking forward to it. Unless McGregor suddenly learns how to, throw a jab or stop Mayweather's jab, I don't see it from his ability to win the fight by boxing. If he catches him once with the left hook, like you say, anything can happen. What I'm most interested in right now, though, is the pricing on it. When you guys did Mayweather-Pacquiao, it set a record for the high def. It was $100. This will be more for sure. Are there going to be different levels of it with extra packages, or are we looking at a flat number of about $150?
Yeah, I don't think, that's one of the details that hasn't gotten ironed out because, the fight actually got done so quickly. I don't think it'll be more. I'm not sure it'll be less, but it's sort of like, look, when you go to the grocery store, if you want to buy ground beef, you buy ground beef. If you have a flavor for steak, you want something premium, it's going to cost a little bit more. But I think on this one, it will be a spectacle. It will be an event, unlike any other really sort of in our lifetimes anyway.
Yeah, I think so too. So you think you won't be more, you don't think than the $100 that we paid for Pacquiao Mayweather, or you think there'll be different stages? And I guess that becomes, the UFC is notorious for, the weigh-ins and all the stuff that goes along with it, which you guys now will partner with them in. Will there be 2 separate broadcasts as well, or no?
No, we're going to partner with those. I mean, we may look at something interesting. I think what UFC does with their prelims, whether it's FS1 or on Fight Pass or any of the things, is really interesting in the way they extend the event and make it sort of an entire afternoon or evening.
Right.
So I think their embedded series is great, and that's probably half the fun of this entire event will be the next 7-8 weeks of seeing these guys just go at each other's throats, particularly once we start on the press tour. I think that's going to be a circus unlike what we've ever seen.
So, Stephen, when should I get to Vegas to sit next to you ringside?
No, we're going to Drum Thwack It.
No, you can go to Drum Thwack It. I'm going to sit next to Stephen ringside.
He didn't invite you to go.
You know what?
Inviting myself.
Vegas is going to be on fire. I mean, you guys remember you were both at the Mayweather-Pacquiao, and it was an atmosphere unlike any other.
Yeah, that night was electric.
But that was weird that night, Steve, because we had really good seats. To be fair, Tom Brady had better seats. I assume he got them from you, and that bothered me a little bit.
That's true. So what Boomer needs to do is call up all of our bosses, Leslie.
Yes, exactly. Start lobbying immediately. I'll help promote as much as I possibly can, and as long as I get a ringside seat, I'm good.
No, don't be like that.
What do you mean?
You're not kissing the boss's ass. I want ringside seats. You would be.
Saw me running on the beach yesterday doing my Rocky imitation. So I think that's
couple last quick things on it. For the prelims, will the prelims be all MMA, or will there be some boxing as well?
I think in terms of the pay-per-view, it will be pretty much straight boxing. One of the interesting parts of this is there's been a surprising number of MMA guys, UFC fighters, even UFC champions, who have sort of raised their hand and said, "Hey, I'd like to be on the undercard in a boxing match." I think there's some curiosity there. So maybe there's something that we can do, in that area. I
would avoid that like the plague. I would do MMA fights. I would do boxing matches.
Yeah, one
because they're normally going to be. I mean, there might be a dozen fights with all the prelims on FS1 and whatnot before you got to the main card. The main card was going to be, I assume, about. Well, I don't know. For this, maybe there is no other fight for the main card. Just this. Probably that's the way you guys do it, other than the FS1 stuff that you might be contracted to do. I would leave it alone. I would just make this the only mixed sport event that you got.
Yeah, I think that will certainly be the case for the pay-per-view, and we're going to go out of our way to make sure that it's sort of an entertaining experience and rewarding. Everyone's happy at the end of the event.
And they're going to do the tour. They're coming to New York. They're going to do the whole thing, right?
We'll come to New York. It'll be multi-cities, and it'll probably be a convoy of private jets and security, and again, it's like the circus is coming to town.
Well, we look forward to that circus coming into our studio to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
And listen, and good luck. I know you're a big fan of boxing first, and that's your love. And I've talked to you guys offline a million times about the sport of boxing and Showtime. You had the great Thurman Garcia fight, which was put on CBS, obviously. Hopefully this just gets people excited about fighting, and if that's a residual benefit to both sports, great. And more than anything, let's just all cross our fingers that you don't get Mayweather-Pacquiao and you get a real fight with action in it, because that's all people want.
Yeah, and I think Conor's going to guarantee that. I think at a certain point, Pacquiao, wasn't as aggressive as everyone expected. He didn't look like the Pacquiao. Conor's problem has never been lack of aggression.
No, he's going to make Mayweather fight for sure.